Hello, everyone. Welcome to Creating with the Universe, a very special conversation today with my good friend, Dr. Anthony Mattis. Hello, Anthony.
Hi, Megan.
I am coming to you all from the world's tiniest room. It is a square room where is the only quiet place in the hotel that I'm at. And I thought it was actually kind of cool because this is what it can feel like if you are living your life without creating with the universe. I feel like you're all alone in a tiny little box with bad lighting and nothing's possible. So welcome, everyone. Anthony, I just wanted to start with you. When did you actually, well, first of all, for those of you who don't know, Dr. Anthony has been recently facilitating a new class in Access Consciousness called Opening the Symphony. And a lot of people are like, oh my God, what is that? You know, you can really trip out on what that is. And for me, it has this energy of really starting to open up to your magical creative powers that you have with the universe, and that the universe, this playground that the universe can invite you to. And that can get all very like esoteric sometimes, but it's also very pragmatic. So when did you first have any sort of like desire to play with the universe?
Oh my God. I would probably say from the time I was a little boy, and I would be like, I always knew that I wanted to help people, but it was like the only things that were presented to me at that time were like the typical jobs, like, okay, you could be a social worker or a psychologist or a psychiatrist or, whatever. And then I would watch like a lot of these science fiction movies like Star Wars and things like that, and like working with the Force. And I remember like, that's where I want to be able to like, be with the force of like the life and consciousness. And, and I remember I used to get being really frustrated because like nowhere did I ever have an example of where that could be possible. And you kind of hear glimpses about it, sort of like maybe in the Bible, maybe, Jesus walked on water and, he multiplied, 4 loaves of bread into hundreds to feed the crowd and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, well, that's interesting. And this book's supposed to be true, right? So how do you get those superpowers, So I would say Star Wars and the Bible. I was like, this sounds really fucking cool. But it was weird. I just didn't have any examples of that. And, but I always held on to that being a possibility, and, and then I sort of kind of gave up on it. And then it wasn't until I went to chiropractic school where one of the first things you hear in chiropractic school is the power that made the body heals the body. And that everybody has an innate intelligence within. There's a consciousness within your body. Right now, everything's happening on automatic pilot. It's part of the innate intelligence in your body. Right now, your hormones are doing their thing. Your body's digesting the foods and the drinks that you just ate. It knows what hormones to make at certain times, what enzymes to make at certain times. You're not telling it to do it. It's doing it automatically. So that kind of created more hope for me in terms of like, okay, well, maybe the thing called the Force is something that's actual. We could actually actualize that. And then I'll never forget this book I read. It was called like the Celestine Prophecy and stuff like that. It was just so cool. And I was like, wow, I wish, when you talk to people, you could see like their auras and all that kind of crap. And I'm like, okay, so other people think of these things as possibility. This isn't just like sci-fi stuff, that this is actually possible and available. And then the question was, okay, how do I access this?
Yeah. So when did I know that you did the chiropractic thing for a while, and that, was what it was, but when did you first start tapping into what you were aware of as a kid, like that magic mystery where you say, special forces, where you began realizing it could actually be possible here?
Well, that's a great question. I'm not really I do know I could share different. Well, I kind of gave up on it, and then I started doing some drugs. I smoked a lot of weed.
Yeah.
Yeah, not everybody, but I did because I kind of gave up with it and trying to fit in. And there was a couple of times where I actually did mushrooms, and that was two horrific situations where like all I saw was things that were very demonic,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, I'm like never doing that again. But I'm like, and then so I started, it wasn't until I really graduated chiropractic school was when I sort of went on this like spiritual journey. I started studying like metaphysical work, and then I had a guru from India where we practiced these meditations and these certain kind of chants and mantras to make your energies a certain way. Had a lot of great experiences, really, really cool, supernatural like experiences. And it was awesome because it wasn't through drugs or anything like that.
Right.
And then I did the Jesus thing in church, and I had one of these episodes where I convulsed on the floor, and I had all these visions, and it was really quite remarkable, actually. But again, like nothing in my life changed. They were all like wonderful experiences, but my life didn't change. Like I couldn't quite get through whatever things that were kind of keeping me like average
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
fighting just to be average and fighting just to be normal. It was like a fight and a struggle. So I had some experiences, I would say like in my 30s, that were like, wow, this is really cool, but what would it take for this to actually really change my life and be in this space all the time? So it really wasn't until Access Consciousness came along. This is after my wife committed suicide. As you know, I was a single dad raising 3 kids on my own, and they were little. And I'm like, seriously, like this is what I got to show for all this fucking self-help shit I've done.
Right.
Really? And
Thank you, universe. What the hell? What the hell is this?
totally, yeah, thank you, universe, and thank you, fucking God. And my exact conversation was, God, I'm going outside the box, and if I go to hell for it, so be it. But there's got to be a modality out there that can really change those areas where I'm messed up, or those areas I can't seem to get any breakthroughs, because I had turned over everything in the subconscious mind. Okay. I went to therapy. I did the guru, like I said, man, I did it all. But then Access comes along, which is interesting. It's like the one thing I resisted the most, I've gotten the best results. And that was, so here I am 11 years later talking to you, closed my chiropractic practice down because the results were undeniable. And it really addresses just about everything. There's like so many, what I call energetic resources within Access for you to change things in your life that aren't working. Everywhere from abuse to body issues like body shame to, money issues, relationship issues, just sadness, depression, anxiety, you name it. So I'm like, wow. And so as I started playing with the tools of Access Consciousness, and I saw like really how my kids loved it, which sort of motivated me to keep going back to more classes, my life actually started changing in all those ways I wasn't able to change before. And then I'm like, holy shit. And I'm like, this is like what matches like the Force, like being a Jedi. And I'm like, I'm a fucking Jedi in training right now. And then this wonderful thing called Symphony of Possibilities, created by our very good friend, Dr. Dane here, which is where you sort of get to learn. So he created this thing called ESB, right? Energetic Synthesis of Being. And then he was at like an orchestra or a symphony in New York City. And he started to see, observe how, the symphony worked together, and all the instruments were like everybody had value, right, in this beautiful symphony. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying this. And so people were so mesmerized by the work he did with the energetic synthesis of being, they would go up to him and say, how can we learn this?
Right.
So he went on to create, this 4-day workshop class. And he's been doing that, I guess, the last 25 years, where we learn how to play with these beautiful energies. And, yeah, and I'll just never forget, like really my first time, and the way that it actually showed up was the first time that, so Dr. Dane here asked me to work on him in class once as a chiropractor. So I did. So I did my chiropractic thing, and then Gary Douglas, the founder of Access Consciousness, comes up to me. He's like, hey, would you like to work on me? And I'm like thinking to myself, as a chiropractor? luckily Dane was in the room at the time, and I'm like,
As a Jedi, what you didn't know is they met as a Jedi.
that's what I mean. And that's exactly what happened. And Dane's like, he doesn't want chiropractic, just so you know. I'm like, what am I gonna do, Dane? He's like, you'll figure it out. And then I did. And all I did was just lay my hands on Gary, and then his body went. I didn't even know what I was doing. This is the miraculous part of it. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't do anything. I didn't set an intention. I just lowered my walls and barriers, and I was just like there. I'm like, here I am, willing to fail, willing to embarrass myself. And then he sort of said, dude, Gary Douglas, he's like, you have very similar capacities as Dane, the creator of ESB and SOP. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, I'm thinking these guys need more straight guys in Access or something. They need more guys. There's no guys in this. They just feel bad for me. But that's how it started. And yeah, and I started playing with that. And it probably took me, I had little glimpses of perceiving what they perceived, but it probably took me about 3 years where I was like, holy shit, I can do this. I can be this. I actually was observing what, like, the energetics of what was occurring that are really indescribable. And then I just started building from there. But I would say the first 3 years, I was just jumping and be like, well, they said I can do it. So I'm just going to show up and fake it till I make it kind of thing, you know?
Well,
But,
well, I would say, like, so, you know, I think one of the beautiful things, if you guys don't know, part of this opening of the symphony class is because of Anthony's adventure in becoming the Jedi that he truly is. He's had all this, you know, all these conversations with Dane and Gary, and the vulnerability that you've had to really open up to what you're capable of. And it's more every day, but you have this like brilliant way of also being very vulnerable with people. Like, hey, you can be a Jedi too. Let's open the door together and walk you can walk people through where they think that they're fucked up, or they, you know, throw an atom bomb and it could have been a little, you know, ting or something, you know what I mean? Like, it's like there's nothing wrong with the adventure of becoming a Jedi, you know?
yeah. No, I love it. It's well said. And that's been like one of the greatest gifts in this journey, is because you could feel like the biggest piece of shit known to man, or like you said, it had an atom bomb explode in your life, maybe with abuse or someone stealing all your money, or bad divorce or whatever. And you could actually be a miracle worker. You can create miracles in people's lives, and none of that stuff ever has to dictate your future. Yeah. So, and that's the gift that Access has been. It's sort of like, it doesn't obliterate the memories of what occurred, but it obliterates the energetics of what those experiences created for your future, so that I was able to undo the path I was on as a result of those traumas and dramas. And that is because of all these different tools. The Symphony of Possibilities is one of them. And God, it fucking really just changed my life. And I'm like, this matches the energy of that thing I was aware of when I was a little boy.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've done a couple of classes now with people. You've been doing tasters. You've been, you know, facilitating the Symphony of Possibilities in the afternoon with Dr. Dane here. What is your, like, what lights you up at the end of the day when you walk out of that room with, as you know, I was just here in Houston with you at the one you did during the 9 trainees class. And it was so cool because it was like 10 years ago.
By the way, 9 trainees is not like trans, you know, it's like, you know, transmogrification, literation and all that. So for those of you who are super sensitive out there about these types of things.
True.
Anyway.
And if you were reading subtitles, it probably auto-corrected it to 9 grannies. So it's also not what we're talking about.
Exactly.
They're your magical superpowers that you naturally have that you gave up or have forgotten, or you know, have used against you, or something crazy, or you're using and you just haven't acknowledged. What's that like for you with people? Like, do you?
Oh, one of my greatest joys in general, and this I got even before Access, is I was doing like this Christian life coaching program, and I took people through this program for free, and to me, one of my greatest joys when facilitating this work is when like being a catalyst for someone's light bulb going off in their universe about who they are, like what actually is true for them, and empowering people to know what they know, and contributing to them recognizing the gifts and the capacities that they have. Because a lot of times we don't even see it, we don't even know it. God knows I didn't fucking know it. And it took someone else perceiving it in me before I could perceive it in me. And so for me, in playing with the symphony energy, especially when you're from the facilitator's perspective, it's like I get to see how everyone contributes to like the greater whole. And for me, personally, it's awesome. Even the people who are brand new or never done it before, they're contributing way more than they even know that they are. And I get to sort of be the observer of that. And it's such a gift for me. But again, when they walk away being like, wow, I have hope. I have hope now that there's something else available to me that I didn't even know was available until I came to this class.
Wow. That's really beautiful. So let's talk about creating with the universe, so it's like, people they come to a class and they start opening up to these energies. What is it like for you? Like, how do you use, you have these experiences in a class, but how do you actually walk out of the class and actually start using, how do you play with the energies?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one of my demands was, okay, cool. What would it take for this not to like just be something that shows up at a class? Like, how can I have this in my life every day? It doesn't mean I don't go through difficult times and have low moments or anything like that. But I also have an awareness of what's occurring, whereas before I didn't. So I would stay stuck in those low times for a very long time. Right. But the key is to go home and use the tools. I mean, like make a demand, like commit to using the tools that are available to you, like access consciousness, the bars, right? Where we put our hands on these 32 points on your head. That's like basically doing a defrag for your brain. Yeah. So that making sure I'm getting my bars ran on a regular basis, making sure I'm receiving the body process, making sure I'm doing the verbal processing that we learn, in the very, very beginning of access. So using the tools on a daily basis. I'm lucky enough to be married to someone who's also an access conscious facilitator. So it's easy for us to sort of like gift and receive with one another. But before I got remarried, it was just the kids and I. We would use the tools every day. Like one of the first things you learn is to learn how to live in and ask the question. So a lot of the things I was asking every day is, how does it get better than this? Here I am going through grieving. It had only been like 9 months after their mom died. And I'm like, okay, I'm really supposed to ask, how does it get better than this? My life fucking totally sucks. I'm a widower. I'm 41 years old and I got a 3-year-old, a 9-year-old, and an 11-year-old who lost their mom. This is fucking bullshit. But like, as soon as I would say that in my head, I'd go, okay, how does it get better than this? What else is possible? So I would start asking these questions to create a different possibility, to create different awarenesses so that you actually can start to recognize when the universe actually starts saying, this is how it gets better than this. This is how it gets better than this. This is how it gets better than this. And then I'd be like, nah, no. And I'd push it away because I wasn't used to receiving. Yeah. I wasn't used to receiving shit other than fucking struggle, strife, fighting for, right? Because I was all about being the underdog in life, Rocky Balboa, I'm the underdog, super underdog, whatever that fucking mouse was, here I am, underdog is here, it's like, what the fuck? And then I started to recognize, I'm like, oh, I don't have to just survive. I could actually thrive. And then it's a matter of receiving it, because the universe will bring things to you. It will reveal things to you. Then it's up to us to actually choose to receive it. And listen, if you're stuck with all these different points of view about your past, you're not going to receive shit. Yeah. If you're stuck with all these points of view
you'll just receive the points of views that you have.
That's it. And then sometimes people won't do it because they think they're going against their family, or they think they're going against their religion, or they're going against God, or no, maybe all those things are helping you have these things, yeah. But it's amazing. So I had to eventually get to a space to learn how to open up my receiving as well.
Wow. All right, so tell me, let's talk about a day in the life of a Jedi now. As you know, we love calling you by your ulterior name.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I have some of the dark side still in me as well. So I'm sort of like
Yes,
on the
you
cusp.
do.
I would have a purple lightsaber, like
Yes,
Mace
to create
Windu.
a universe, you don't have to be all holy and anointed and
No,
perfect and all good and no bad.
exactly, exactly. Anyway,
How does Tony the Jedi go shopping, for example, with maybe plants? Do
yeah,
you
I
know?
love that question. Well,
Yeah.
so it's great because when you do access, when you use these tools and access, you do definitely become way more sensitive to the world around you for sure. It's like everything's talking to you already, but most of us are just numb to it.
Yeah, you
And
just take
now,
the headphones off so you can hear it.
there you go. So it's like I would walk into a nursery. We just built our home like 7.5 years ago, and like the backyard is virtually empty. I don't know anything about plants. All I know is I want to be surrounded by a lot of green things and colorful things. And so I would walk into the nursery and literally like my head would go, and then I see this bush or this plant or this tree sort of like going like this, and it's literally like me. And I'm like, I don't know anything about you. You want me to take you home? Because you have to know, like, where do you plant it in the house? Does it need sun? Does it need shade? As much as I love you, want to take you home, you may not be able to work in my property. So,
Right.
so now I'm created like a freaking forest and jungle, and it kind of like created itself. Because again, I didn't have the point of view like I'm gonna go and start buying fiddle fig leaves and bamboo, and I didn't know all that stuff. And so they chose me because I was willing to listen, and I would get educated. I would educate myself with the person who would work at these nurseries, and now you can get these apps and stuff where they tell you where they could be planted, how much sun, blah blah blah. But it was because it's like this is where you start communing with everything around you. Even with my clothes, the clothes that I wear now, I dress so differently. Well, now I actually have the money to buy some fucking clothes. But
I didn't know you wore clothes.
yeah, shh, only from the waist up.
Yeah.
Don't tell anybody that I'm in my
I'm
underwear.
not, it's just between you and I.
Yeah. Anyway, so even like with clothes, they'd be like, and I'd look at it like, that's not how I would usually dress. And they're like, no, you need to wear me. And I'm like, okay. And then I would put it on. It's like your whole body like lights up. And it's just amazing that you start to become more sensitive to everything around you. And if you use that to your advantage, it will contribute to you. If you resist and react to it, it actually may make things worse. So, and that's where the receiving comes in, is to actually not resist and to react to your awareness and how everything's literally talking to you, but to actually be willing to listen because it's there to contribute to you, even the dog shit in the snow.
And yeah, I think, for me as someone who's, I've had so much awareness that I've, tried to numb myself from because I didn't know how to deal with it all. But it's like with access, as you open up to it, it doesn't have to just be bad stuff. It's like you can start allowing the magic in, and when you allow the whispers and, the universe to play with you, like you said, even your clothes become like you listen to what your body would like to wear, and that becomes a contribution if you listen to it, because like you started the conversation with your body has this intelligence. Are you listening to it?
Right.
So when you
when
you start
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go. My bad. You're making me so excited that it's like I can't help myself.
Go for it.
No, but like I love the title, like creating with the universe, because it was like I always felt like the universe or God was against me.
Yeah.
And again, it wasn't.
If you are, it's like I'm in this room. If you're kind of like capped in, protecting yourself because it's a bad world out there and terrible things are going to happen to you if you don't protect yourself, then you box yourself in, you limit yourself from what's actually possible. And if you just say, fuck it, good, bad, ugly, whatever, it's like, let's go. There is it's like jumping off a diving, like a really high diving board or something where like, oh my God, am I going to die if I do this? And it's like, if you just jump, all of a sudden the universe, it feels like the universe is just there in ways you couldn't have ever imagined.
And that's the first time. This is the first time in these last 11 years where I actually could perceive that as a reality and something that was true. Like literally, like the universe becomes the wind beneath your wings. Not to
Yeah.
sound cheesy, I know it's a song and stuff, but it's
Well,
just
hey,
like that.
it works. We can listen to that song together and cry if you want.
Okay.
In our underwear.
Who sang that? Was that Bette Midler or who was Barbara Streisand? I don't know who.
Oh, I don't know now.
Yeah,
I think that
we'll have to
Midler
look it up.
because it was
But
on
no,
the.
it's like really weird. And it's like the bird getting kicked out of the nest. It's like ah, but then all of a sudden it's like
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. It's such a beautiful journey if you just take the first step and then the next step and then the next step and
Totally.
keep going. Cool. What are you excited for coming up with your next? You have a couple of classes coming up. Well, you do classes all over the world, by the way, but today was uniquely sort of about all of the symphony classes.
Yeah. Well, we have the opening of the symphony in Prague in September coming up, along
Yeah.
with the 3-day body class in Prague as well, and also Saudi Arabia. Brendan Watt and I. And then we have Dr. Dane Here's Symphony of Possibilities in Berlin in November. So I'm super excited about that. And then we have the Maestro class in November too, which is sort of like SOP on steroids.
Yeah.
This is where you get to go to the Jedi temple and really, so yeah, what a gift. So I'm just excited to be able to, I just messaged Dane the other day or yesterday. Like, I'm so honored and grateful to be on this journey with you and getting to play in this universe and be able to present it to the world, literally, because the world is our oyster, and we're not just subject to like where we live. It's like how many countries is Access in now? Like 176, 178. Where are we at?
Almost all of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did we get so lucky? I mean, seriously. And like, so what a gift. And I'm just excited. One of my things that I had on my vision boards in my closet many, 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 many years ago was, it was like to, meet beautiful people that are actually interested in consciousness around the world. And it's showing up. It's like, I have amazing friends all over the world. None of us are perfect. We're all in this journey together. But just the level of vulnerability, the level of weirdness that we be, and the camaraderie is a true gift. And it's something that I had asked for ever since I was a kid.
That's cool. Now that you say that, that reminds me of, asking you shall receive is one of the universal laws of the universe, right? It's in the Bible, it's in all sorts of different places, and it can be very confronting sometimes. It's like people pray, that's a form of asking, and if it doesn't show up, then they think that they're bad and they deserve whatever that they were asking for.
Yeah.
And for me, these symphony sessions, like that's when I actually get to like, it's kind of like the pre-play of actually playing with the big universe, because you start with requests. You have a request and the people that you're working with have a request, and then you really have to like get out of the way to see what, if you're dancing sort of with the universe and the room and all of the people, to see actually what energies show up, as they don't necessarily match what you think that they should. And it's such a beautiful place to kind of practice. If you were in a symphony and you wanted to go have rehearsal, these are great ways to do that, to see how different energies can actually contribute to you as you ask and receive. And really, like, what else can you ask for?
Beautifully said. Wow. Yeah, I love it. The pre-play of the playing with the universe. That was great. I love that. And it's exactly what it's like.
And that you even can ask,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember one time working, like Dane was doing a bunch of sessions and I was contributing, but he kept having the people who were also contributing also have an ask or a request for the session. And by like the third day, and I had like 15, asks. And usually I'm like, this is going to be the biggest deal. This is the big one. My request is going to be huge, and by like the 15th one, I was like, I don't even know what to ask for anymore, but it was like, I hit my limit of what I decided I could ask for. And it was like, what if you can just wake up and ask for like start looking at how much could be asking for that you're not.
Yeah.
like, if we could truly ask for anything and the universe is there to contribute, what else is freaking possible?
Love that. Love that. I got to a place where I felt like I had completed my life.
Yeah.
Everything I'd worked so hard for finally all showed up. And then I'm like, this is all I've been asking for?
The Jedi officially retires.
Yeah, I'm like, well, am I going to die tomorrow? I felt like I had like a panic attack. Like, I think I'm going to die. I'm like, done. I'm finished. And then I was like, holy shit. Based on everything I experienced energetically, it didn't even match the ask that I've had forever. And then I'm like, I don't even know what to ask for, like what you just said.
Yeah.
And then Gary's like, okay, cool. Well, you know, what would it take for you to ask for the life you never knew you could have?
Ooh.
And I was like, whoa. Then it's like way less defined.
Yeah.
And it's definitely, how does it get any fucking better than what's already shown up?
Yeah. I'm asking for that today.
Yeah.
Tomorrow and the next day.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm just going to put the link up here one more time. If you have, there's this beautiful website that amazing people have created, accessconsciousness.com/symphony. You can go there. There's all sorts of stuff on there that we have symphony practitioners all over doing taster sessions. If you just want to get a taste, Anthony does tasters as well. He does group sessions, online sessions, all sorts of stuff if you want to come and play with this energy. And there's a new video also that premiered, I think, yesterday from Dr. Dane here. Go to Access Consciousness YouTube to check it out. I think it's also on the Access Facebook page for a brand new announcement. I'm not going to give it away, but you need to go watch. It has to do with Tony the Jedi and Dr. Dane here and creating with the universe. So go check it out.
Nice.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Megan.
Here. Yeah. Thanks everyone for being here, and we'll see you somewhere, some other time in the world.
Bye-bye.